Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Satwanti Kapoor from Department of Anthropology, University of Delhi. Today I shall be speaking on the module Research Process and Design from the paper Research Methods and Fieldwork. Now the learning objectives of these modules are to understand the concept of research and its purpose, to discuss the types of research, to enlighten the process of research, and to highlight the conceptual structure of a research design. So let us first of all discuss briefly about what is research or research challenges. Briefly about research. Now, challenge to solve an unsolved problem is human nature. Man cannot tolerate facing an unknown stimulation which subject to affect his existence for long. He or she always tries to find a solution for the problem which he or she meets or faces. Any kind of scientific effort to find a solution for a problem is a part of research, and the whole effort searching, gathering and analyzing for finding solution of a problem is research. Now research always begins with the question, and the question usually arises from the known unsolved problem. Some people consider research as a movement from the unknown to the known. It is actually a voyage of discovery. Collection and analysis of relevant data is answer to the question for unsolved problems, which are fundamentals of research. There are various definitions of research presented by various scholars and authors. Some of the definitions of research are as follows. Clifford Woody, 1927. Research comprises defining and redefining problems, formulating hypotheses or suggested solutions, collecting, organizing and evaluating data, making deductions and reaching conclusions, and at last carefully testing the conclusion to determine whether they fit the formulating hypothesis or not. Second is Redman and Mori, 1923. Research is defined as a systematized effort to gain new knowledge. Research is thus an original contribution to the existing stock of knowledge, making for its advancement. Now, next definition is by Creswell, 2002. Research is a process of steps used to collect and analyze information to increase our understanding of a topic or issue. Now, research consists of three basic steps. First, pose a question. Second, collect data to answer the question. And third, present an answer to the question. The purpose of research is to discover answers to questions through the application of scientific procedures. The main aim of research is to find out the truth which is hidden and which has not been discovered as yet. Now, type of research. There are various research work are being taken up across the globe of today's world. Some of the basic types of research are discussed as follows. First, descriptive research. Now, descriptive research includes survey and fact-finding inquiries of different kinds. The major purpose of descriptive research is to make description of the state of affair as it exists at present, and the researcher has no control over the variables. Researchers can only report what has happened or what is happening. Second is analytical research. It uses facts or information already available and analyze these to make a critical evaluation of the material. It does not include any surveys or fact-finding inquiries of different kind. Third is applied research. Now, applied research aims at finding a solution for an immediate problem facing a society or an industrial or business organization. It tries to discover a solution for some pressing practical problems. Now, next is fundamental research, which is also basic or pure. Fundamental research is mainly concerned with generalizations and with the formulation of a theory. It is also defined as gathering knowledge for knowledge's sake, is termed pure or basic research. Pauline Young, 1966. Research concerning some natural phenomena or relating to pure mathematics are example of fundamental research. Next is quantitative research. Research carried out through measurement of quantity or amount is known as quantitative research. Those phenomena that can be expressed in terms of quantity are tested or verified by the quantitative research. Next is qualitative research. It is concerned with qualitative phenomena, that is, phenomena relating to or involving quality or kind. For example, qualitative research is especially important in the behavioral science, where the aim is to discover the underlying motives of a human behavior. Now, motivation research is an important type of qualitative research which aims at discovering the underlying motives and desires using in-depth interviews for the purpose. Next is conceptual research. It concerns with abstract ideas or theory. It is generally used by philosophers and thinkers to develop new concepts or to reinterpret existing ones. Next is empirical research. Now, empirical research relies on experience or observation, and it is data-based research, coming up with conclusions which are capable of being verified by observation or experiment. It is also known as experimental type of research. Now, this figure shows an illustration of research process. Now, identification of the problem. In every research, the first and foremost step is to identify a problem that he or she wants to study. Now, area of interest or aspect of a subject matter is identified, and there are two essential steps involved in formulating the research problem. Example, understanding the problem thoroughly and rephrasing the same into meaningful terms from an analytical point of view. Review of literature. It is the examination of available literature related with the research problem. Critical review of relevant literature are made to present the documentation of the existence of the problem and to know how it is manifested, who it affects and involves, what roles and interests the involved actors have, the historical background to the problem. Next is framing of objectives. Now, objectives of the study are made after critically reviewing the relevant literatures. The choice of objective should be relevant and justified to the research problem. Formulation of hypothesis, another important aspect of research. The hypotheses of the research study are formulated in order to draw out and test the logical or empirical consequences of the research problem. The role of the hypothesis is to guide the researcher by delimiting the area of research and to focus on the important facets of the problem. Next is data collection. Sample designing are done before the commencement of data collection to obtain a sample from the given population. It is a definite plan determined to select the sample before any data are actually collected. This is also called as pilot surveys or pilot studies. Samples can be either probability samples or non-probability samples. The probability samples are those with each element has a known probability of being included in the sample. Now, next is data analysis. The data so collected needs to be analyzed. The analysis of the data requires a number of closely related operations such as coding of the raw data, establishment of categories, tabulation, and drawing statistical inferences using well-defined statistical formulae. Now, hypothesis testing. The hypothesis may be tested through various tests such as chi-square test, t-test, or f-test, depending upon the nature and objective of research inquiry. Hypothesis testing will result in either accepting the hypothesis or in rejecting it. Now, generalizations and interpretations. Generalizations is to build a theory from the findings after testing the hypothesis. As a matter of fact, the real value of research lies in its ability to arrive at certain generalizations. On the other hand, researchers might also seek to explain the finding on the basis of other available theory. Such explanation is known as interpretation. Next is preparation of the report. The data so gathered, so analyzed has to be put in the form of a report. A report has to be prepared after generalizations and interpretations of the findings. Preparation of a report requires careful considerations, keeping in view the following points. First is layout of the report. It includes the preliminary pages, the main text, and the end portions. Now, report should be written in a concise and objective styles in simple language, avoiding vague expressions such as it seems, there may be, and the like. Charts and illustrations in the main report should be used only if they present the information more clearly and forcibly. Now, calculated confidence limit must be mentioned, and the various constraints experienced in conducting research operations may as well be stated. Now, submission of report. Submission of report is the final step in research process. The final report is to be submitted to the concerned authorities or agencies for necessary action. Next is methods of data collection. Now, methods of data collection depends on the type of data to be collected, that is either primary or secondary or both. Usually in field survey, that is also called fieldwork, data can be collected by any one of the following ways. Observations. This method implies the collection of information by direct observation without interviewing the respondents. The information obtained relates to what is currently happening in the studied population. Only limited information can be obtained by this method, and it is not suitable in inquiries where large samples are concerned. Second is personal interviews. This method follows a rigid procedure and seeks answers to a set of preconceived questions through personal interviews. This method of collecting data is usually carried out in a structured way where output depends upon the ability of the interviewer to a large extent. Telephone interview. This method of collecting information involves contacting the respondents on telephone itself. This is not a very widely used method, but it plays an important role in industrial surveys in developed regions, particularly when the survey has to be accomplished in a very limited time. Next is mailing of questionnaires. In this method, questionnaires are mailed to the respondents with a request to return after completing the same. It is most extensively used method in various economic and business surveys. Questionnaires are prepared very carefully and pre-tested to understand the weakness, if any, before applying the method to get relevant information. Schedules. In this method, information is collected by filling up schedules containing relevant questions by the investigator on the basis of replies given by the respondents. Next is research design. We don't proceed before making a research design. A research design is the set of methods and procedures used in collecting and analyzing measures of the variables specified in the research study. It is a plan that specifies the sources and types of information relevant to the research problem. Research design is a strategy specifying which approach will be used by gathering and analyzing the data. It also includes the time and cost budgets, since most studies are done under these two constraints. The design of a study defines the study types such as descriptive, correlational, experimental, descriptive, longitudinal case study, experimental design, and so on. Moreover, research design also defines the data collection method and a statistical analysis plan according to the nature of the research problem or hypothesis. It is a framework or blueprint for conducting research in an efficient manner that has been created to find answers to research questions. According to Clare and Workers, 1962, a research design is the arrangements of conditions for collection and analysis of data in a manner that aims to combine relevance to the research purpose with economy in procedure. The function of research design is to provide the collection of relevant evidence with minimal expenditure of effort, time, and money. Some important characteristics of a good research design are flexibility, adaptability, efficiency, appropriateness, economical, and so on. The research design which minimizes bias and maximizes the accuracy and reliability of the collected data and analyzed to have minimum errors as possible is considered a good research design. The most important requirement of a good research design is that it should provide adequate information so that the research problem can be analyzed on a wide perspective. Some of the major questions that one should keep in mind while designing a new good and well-planned research includes appropriate type of study design, objective of the study, type of data, sample size, method of data collection, time, place, duration of the study, appropriate analysis of the collected data, interpretation, expected outcome and its application, expenditure and feasibility of the study, etc. Now, type of research design, descriptive. Descriptive research design provide answer to the question of who, what, when, where and how associated with a particular research problem. However, it is not able to give a definite answer. It is used to obtain information concerning the current status of the phenomena and to describe what exists with respect to the variables. It includes case study, observation and surveys. Next is correlation. It is a specific type of non-experimental design used to describe the relationship between or among variables. It provides empirical evidence suggesting two or more variables are or are not related. Cross-sectional and longitudinal. Cross-sectional study design measures different subjects with only once at a particular time period to understand the process of change in a short time period. On the other hand, longitudinal studies follow the same subject over time and makes repeated observations. Cross-sectional study design provides a clear snapshot of the outcome and characteristics associated with it, whereas longitudinal study design describe patterns of change and establish the direction and magnitude of causal relationship. Experimental. It is concerned with examination of the effect of independent variable on the dependent variable, where the independent variable is manipulated through treatment or interventions, and the effect of those interventions is observed on the dependent ones. It consists of three important characteristics such as manipulation, control and randomization. Now, semi-experimental study, it involves the manipulation of independent variable to observe the effect of dependent variable. However, it lacks at least one of the two characteristics of the experimental research design, that is a randomization or a control group. Meta-analytic study. It is an analytical methodology designed to systematically evaluate and summarize the results from a number of individual studies, thereby increasing the overall sample size and the ability of the researcher to study effect of interest. It is not simply to summarize existing knowledge, but to develop a new understanding of a research problem using synoptic reasoning. The main objectives of meta-analysis include analyzing differences in the results among studies and increasing the precision by which effects are estimated. Next comes the review. It is a systematic and explicit method to identify, select and critically analyze relevant research studies. It helps in providing comprehensive summary of literature relevant to a research question. Action research design. Action research design is a collaborative and adaptive research design that is directly applied in the society. It focuses on pragmatic and solution-driven research outcomes rather than testing theories. The figure here illustrates the different types of research designs. Now, descriptive design include case study, naturalistic observations, survey, correlation, case control study, observational study, cross-sectional and longitudinal study, experimental, experiment with random assignment, semi-experimental, field experiment, quasi-experiment, meta-analysis, review, literature review, systematic review, action research design. Now let us summarize this module. Research is a systematic scientific searching, gathering and analyzing for finding solutions to a problem. It is a movement from unknown to the known. Actually, it is a voyage of discovery. It consists of three steps such as to pose a question, collect data to answer the question and to present an answer to the question. The purpose of research is to discover answers to questions through the application of scientific procedures. The main aim of research is to find out the truth which is hidden and which has not been discovered as yet. Research has been classified into different types based on the nature of data as well as the research problem, like descriptive, analytical, applied, fundamental, quantitative, qualitative, conceptual, and empirical research. The above researches are carried out effectively through systematic series of steps called research process. Such series of steps in research process include identification of problems, review of literature, framing of objectives, formulation of hypotheses, data collection, data analysis, hypothesis testing, generalization and interpretation, the preparation of report and submission of report. Research needs to be planned and designed before carrying out the work. A research design is a set of methods and procedures used in collecting and analyzing measures of the variables specified in the research problem. It constitutes the blueprint for the collection, measurement, and analysis of data. The function of a research design is to ensure that the evidence obtained enables effectively address the research problems logically and as ambiguously as possible. Thank you.